Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today we've got a couple of stories, once again involving the alien phenomena, but also another discovery out in space. An interesting one that I want to read to you today, folks, and tell you all about it. Either way, we'll start off with that article. Astronomers spot a rare object way beyond Neptune. So let's get into this article and read exactly what astronomers have found and wonder at the true extent of it. Astronomers just found a new object way out in our solar system, and it's giving us hints about what things were like billions of years ago. This object, called 2023 KQ-14 or Ammonite, is like a space rock that orbits super far from the sun. It was spotted using powerful telescopes and written about in a science journal, Nature Astronomy. Ammonite is what scientists call a trans-Neptunian object, TNO. That's a fancy name for stuff that orbits the sun way past Neptune, the furthest big planet in our solar system. Now, that's an interesting bit of, information, isn't it, folks? So, this thing isn't a planet, but it is something that does circle the sun, but so far out that if it wasn't discovered now, it might never have been discovered at all. Either way, let's continue. Think of the solar system as a giant playground with the sun in the middle. Planets like Earth are pretty close to the sun, but Ammonite is super far away, even at its closest point to the sun, called the perihelion. It's 66 times further than Earth is from the sun. That's about 6 billion miles away. To measure that distance, scientists use something called an astronomical unit, AU, where 1 AU is the distance from Earth to the sun, so Ammonite's closest point is 66 AU. This space rock is special because it's a Sedna-like object. That means it's like another far-out object called Sedna, which has a super stretched-out orbit like a long skinny oval instead of a circle. Ammonite's orbit is huge. It has a semi-major axis of 252 AU, which is like the average length of its oval path around the sun. It also tilts a bit, about 11 degrees, like a slightly slanted racetrack. What's cool is that Ammonite's orbit fits into a gap scientists didn't understand before. They call this the Q gap, which is just a missing spot in the distances where they expected to find objects like this. Finding Ammonite is like finding a missing puzzle piece that helps make the picture clearer. Spotting Ammonite was tough because it's so far away and really dim, like trying to see a tiny candle from miles away at night. It's probably about the size of a small moon, but it's so distant that astronomers needed super strong telescopes to find it. So this object, Ammonite, as they're calling it in this article, folks, is about the size of a small moon, and it's circling the sun. You know, folks, I consider Pluto a planet, even though some scientists no longer do. Well, I consider Ammonite to possibly be, not a planet per se, because we don't know exactly how big this thing is. They only estimate it to be about the size of a small moon. So while I don't consider it maybe a planet yet, maybe I could in the future. Either way, folks, the fact that this object is out there also says to me that there are probably other objects circling our sun, perhaps even some people have even speculated this as well, folks, that another planet is somewhere out there, much like Ammonite is so far out from our solar system that we didn't know until now that it existed. Some people think that there's another planet out there, further beyond Pluto, that much like Ammonite is just out there waiting to be discovered. So maybe Ammonite here is giving us an indicator that such a thing is out there somewhere. Either way, folks, let's continue with this article and finish it off. Their hard work paid off because Ammonite's orbit has stayed the same for 4.5 billion years. That's as old as the solar system. It's like a time capsule that hasn't been bumped around by planets like Neptune, so it can tell us what things were like when the solar system was born. The coolest part, Ammonite's weird orbit might be a clue about something big out there, like a mysterious Planet 9 that nobody has seen yet. Scientists think a big planet or group of objects might have pushed Ammonite into its path long ago, kind of like how a big kid might nudge a smaller one on the playground. The study doesn't prove Planet 9 exists, but it makes scientists wonder. I did mention earlier in this video, folks, that I thought Ammonite here could prove the existence of a ninth planet, and apparently a lot of scientists agree with me. Indeed, folks, there could be a ninth planet, and Ammonite here does prove that such an object could exist. So, that is a completely enthralling idea, folks. Truly intriguing that there is such a thing out there. Either way, folks, we'll have to basically come back to this, subject in the future. Maybe we'll find, something else out there just as good, or even find this so-called ninth planet, though in my opinion, I still consider it the 10th. Either way, folks, let's move on to the next article. Tic Tac UFOs are not man-made. These crafts have been here for centuries. Let's get into this article now. Noted UFO expert, writer, and director Mark Christopher Lee has put forward a new claim contesting the widespread assumption that the puzzling Tic Tac-shaped UFOs, including those witnessed by U.S. Navy aviators in 2004 off California's coast, represent advanced man-made military tech. Lee asserts that these crafts are not of this earth, and evidence of their presence stretches back hundreds of years. Indeed, folks, if you look at these old accounts, they do put you in mind of modern UFO accounts, so maybe Mark Christopher Lee here is on the right track. But let's continue. In his new documentary, Project Alien Earth, now available on Amazon Prime Video, Lee presents a compelling historical eyewitness and photographic evidence that suggests these advanced aerial craft have been seen long before the modern age of flight or drone technology, undermining claims that they could be the product of any contemporary Earth-based nation. We've been seeing these tic-tac-shaped craft for centuries, and I believe it's time to face the truth, says Lee. The idea that they are man-made simply doesn't hold up. How can we explain detailed sightings of the same type of craft in the 1600s and 1800s before powered flight even existed? Lee points to key historical events that have been largely ignored by mainstream academia and media. Nuremberg, Germany, 1561. During a mass sighting, hundreds of citizens reported a battle in the sky involving numerous spherical, cross-shaped, and most notably cylinder or tic-tac-shaped objects. The event was illustrated in woodcuts and described in newspapers of the time. The Great Airship Wave, 1896 to 1897, in the United States, thousands of credible witnesses, including judges, lawyers, and journalists, reported metallic, cigar, or capsule-shaped aerial craft maneuvering with intelligent control decades before the Wright brothers' first flight in 1903. Well, not exactly decades, but, well, people have been seeing these things even decades before the Wright brothers, folks. But basically, yeah, years before the Wright brothers, people were seeing these objects, and they weren't balloons or dirigibles. They were something else entirely. And they were certainly not planes either. Whatever they were truly frightening to the witnesses back when they were being witnessed, folks. Both in the Nuremberg, Germany, as well as the Great Airship Wave in the United States. People didn't know what to make of these things, and the best they could do was basically ascribe them to maybe, well, weird inventors creating these objects that they were seeing. Then again, folks, if you want to basically believe it, maybe they were indeed alien, well, visitors. Either way, folks, let's continue. Lee adds these objects were described in eerily similar ways to modern-day sightings. Silent propulsion, instant acceleration, no visible means of lift, the same exact features we see in the Tic Tac UFOs today. That's not a coincidence. That's continuity, and continuity over centuries suggests an intelligent, non-human presence operating outside the boundaries of our understanding. In his film, Lee explores the idea that the man-made Tic Tac explanation is part of a larger strategy to obscure the truth about extraterrestrial activity on Earth. I have to say, folks, before anything else, I completely agree with, well, Mark Christopher Lee here. Indeed, I think he, as I said before, is on the right track. But let's finish off his article and then talk about this a little more. It's a classic case of misdirection, Lee claims. If the public can be convinced these craft are secretly military tech, then there's no need to ask the bigger, more frightening question. Are we being visited? Have we always been watched? Project Alien Earth features interviews with leading ufologists, historians, eyewitnesses from around the world, exploring not only the Tic Tac phenomena, but also its deep historical roots and implications for humanity's future. And on that final note of humanity's future, folks, I think that complete transparency, not only on the U.S. government's part, but all the governments of the world, if they came out and said that indeed we are being visited, it can do nothing but good for humanity, folks, because I'm tired of hearing all of this, well, lying and, well, complete obfuscation of anyone who basically wants the truth. You know, them basically just making sure that no one can find out what's actually going on, because I think that's actually doing a lot of harm to humanity. So them coming out and telling us exactly what's going on would be for the best. Either way, folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. You can use the link down below or in the descriptions to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.